Shiur is so hard.
I don't think I understood it. Yeah.
So shiur is really hard. I'm really struggling with it, and I cannot go further until I understand. It's almost 4 weeks that I'm learning shiur. So I have a little bit of it, but maybe together we can do this. Okay, so let's try to go through the map. It's always good, by the way. Very good tool. Sorry for those who may have not, you're full out of it. Always review. Even if the review takes 90% of the time, you only get 10% of the new. You get so much from the Chazara that it's worth that you're giving up 90% of the time for the Chazara, because especially it's so intricate and everything is so connected. Okay, so let's understand this Torah is, the theme of the Torah is Rachmanis. And always, even though the Rebbe only talks about Rachmanis really in the first 2-3 sifim, but really the entire Torah has to go with the platform of Rachmanis. We spoke about last time. What is Rachmanis? Is Rachmanis a feeling? Is Rachmanis an action? We said Rachmanis is a feeling that becomes an action. If there's no action with the feeling, there's no, what's compassion if there's no action? So I feel, big deal. So what do you feel? You feel compassion, and you're frozen, and you do everything you can to distract yourself from that feeling because it hurts you, and the guilt of being compassionate and not being able to do anything. So you need to justify it, and we all do this, by the way. This is the reason why we are lacking das, which we'll get to in a second, is because we don't know what to do with our compassion. We feel compassion. We spoke about this. Shalom Aleichem. How are you? So we spoke about compassion. So the biggest problem with Rachmanis is most of us either freeze because we don't know what to do, because we don't know. Just for example, let's say somebody has a friend or a relative going through a financial hard time, and you don't know what to do. You can't help him. His nut is too big to think, and you can't help him, so you don't do anything. And not only you don't do anything, because he's going through such a hard time, you don't want to you don't even address it, because if you address it, and you can't do anything about it, so you do nothing. And what do? You can't live with the feeling of compassion and doing nothing, so you need to distance yourself, either by distancing yourself from the person, or by doing everything you can to distract and dodge the issue, and try to connect with other issues, like we do with all the things we do in our relationships. We always try to connect to the things that we like and disconnect and dodge from the things that we don't like. So when a person feels his chaver or his family member or a yid is going through some kind of a tzara, and whether it's a physical tzara, a financial tzara, a mental tzara, emotional tzara, and the person is going through, and I do feel compassion because we are Rachmanim b'nei Rachmanim, we usually freeze and do nothing. And even if we do something, are we doing what the person needs? Reb Nachman explains that Rachmanis here is taking there's three, if you medayik in the Sif Aleph, there are three components. There is Rachmanis, which is the feeling, I touch is the feeling of Rachmanis. There is Lirachem, the action of Rachmanis. What do I do with this feeling? And then there's Rachman, which is the profile of a person who knows, who has das, to take the feeling and do the proper action. The Rebbe explains to us that the knowing to do the action for the person is more knowing what not to do than what yes to do. In other words, and he brings an example that if, first of all, on Rishayim, Roitzchem and Gazlan, you're not allowed to be Merachim, you're not allowed to have Rachmanis. Russia, and the Bir Likutei brings that we're not talking about Yidden, we're talking about Goyim, that because a Yid, the Rebbe has in all the Torah, even Rishayim, if you learn the Torah well, you see that the Rebbe is talking dafka about the people b'diyota atachtoina, dafka about the people that are in shal tachtis. So that means, and he wants us to have Rachmanis. We're talking about the Darimata, we're talking about the people, I don't know about you, but the people like me, who live and reside in Mata, in Sha'al Tachti, is in the places and are trapped. And as much as we want to yearn and serve Hashem, we are always challenged with another challenge similar to the previous challenge. We're trapped in this place called Darei Mata, and we need to have Rachmanos on ourselves. The Ikar Rachmanos, by the way, if you learn the Torah well, is to have Rachmanos. The Tzaddik has Rachmanos on all of Klal Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu, which is the profile of the Rachman, is the one who has Rachmanos on God's Klal Yisrael. But
why even start with us of the Rachman if it's referring to Goyim, the thing that's going to get into it, right? And start the Torah.
Why is it? Because the Rebbe is trying to show you boundaries. The Das, which, let's go into Das, we spoke about this last time. So the Rebbe says that this, I'm answering you in 1 second, that the Nakuda of knowing how to take the feeling of Rachmanas and doing the proper action with Rachmanas, that's called Das. What is Das? And this is going to answer your thing. Das is, first of all, Das is the balance and result of Chachma and Bina. What is Chachma and Bina? We spoke about this last time. So Chachma is the intellect. Let's call the computer chip as the Intel chip. And Bina is the processing chip. The Chachma is the Hashem. We were all born with the ability to absorb information. We have a certain amount of RAM and gigabytes that we have. That is the ability to absorb intellect. But the intellect always comes in a raw form. And then we need a processor, which is the ability to take that intellect and apply it within the experiences of life that we have, which are never exactly the way the intellect is, and that's called Bina. And Chachma, we said, is in the brain. Bina is in the heart, even though it's really in the brain. Lev is in the brain, but it's the brain the emotional intelligence that it controls the heart. And when there's a perfect balance of Chachma and Bina, we get an acquisition. We daven every time, 3 times a day. Baruch Atah Hashem, Chaynan Adas. We mentioned last time. Chaynan Adas. Why don't we say Chaynan Bina, Chaynan Chachma? Why Chaynan Adas? Because Das is an acquisition. Das is not something we're born with. Das because we're Yidden. So we all that is Das. So what is this thing called Das? What is this thing? And the Rebbe is going to go into very big detail throughout the Torah. The whole Torah is really about what is Das and how does Das work. And if we have this Das, then we're able to have proper Rachmanas. And if we have proper Rachmanas, we can lead, we can be a manik. And when we and if everybody will have this Das and have the Rachmanas to be able to lead, that's when Mashiach comes. That's where the Torah starts with the pasuk Kimerachmem Yinagem, which is a prophecy of Yeshaya, that Yeshaya said that at the end of time, even those who strayed far from Hashem, even those who fell off the board completely, I don't remember the whole lashon of the pasuk, they're all going to come back. Why? Ki Merachmem Yinagem. Because it's talking about the Eibishter, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with his tremendous Rachmanas, will bring us Yinagem, will guide us into the place that we need to be, so that we're all aligned in the right place, which we'll see the fascination of the way the Rebbe brings it into this Torah. And Mamela, that will bring us, that's the Gula. That will bring the Gula to take that all the people who reside above, who are connecting to Hashem from a higher level, and all the people who reside below, who are connecting to Hashem from a low level, or the lowest level, or each one of us individually that connect, that have times and moments when we're connecting to Hashem from the place of Dveikus, in the place of a high level, or we're coming from the place from the low level, which that's the beauty of this Torah, where the Rebbe is going to teach us. No matter where you are, if you have this, if you're in the loop, which we'll see what this loop is soon, then you will have proper Rachmanas. If you have proper Rachmanas, you'll have Anhaga. And if you'll have Anhaga, you're going to have Das, which ultimately, what are you going to have? You're going to have the Kimerachmem Yanagim. You're going to have this ability to conduct yourself in a way that is Das, in a way that you're going to be able to see beyond the screen of physicality, which that's really what das is. It's the glasses, the lenses, and the ability to see behind the godliness that there is in everything, in the table, in the chair, in the walls, in the svarim, in the car, in the house, in everything. Because we said last time, we'll say it again, we'll chazir. There is no spiritual, let me ask it as a question again, because it's important. Give me the most spiritual object in the world. Torah. Sefer Torah is parchment and sticks. Human being is a body. It's Gashmi. There is no spiritual thing. Beis Hamikdash is a building. There is no spiritual object in the world that's not Gashmis. And the Rebbe is going to say that the reason is because Dafka, the Rebbeinu Shalom, wants us to reveal migushe offer mikrutzecha vavisa tehila. There's a pasuk that the Eibishter has a taiva vavisa tehila, the praise. He has a taiva for the praise of gushe offer krutzecha, from the people who are made out of lumps of clay and mounds of we're materialistic. So in other words, and the Rebbe says the Rebbe Shalom has Srafim, Chayos, Vaifanim. He has angels that are beyond. Yet the biggest tainug of the Rebbeinu Shalom is Vavisa Tehila, Megushe Afa Mekrutze Chayma. That his biggest taiva is when Olam HaShofel Hazeh, when we who are made up of lumps of clay and mounds of sand, and we come and we reveal that there's godliness in the world of Teva. When we take the Sefer Torah or the Beis Hamikdash and we say it's not parchment, but it represents 600,000 oises and every ois and every tag, and Rabbi Kiva was doirish on every koitz, kol koitz, tilem shel Allah, which by the way I have a beautiful shtickle on that Hashem gave me a gift. By the way, you'll enjoy it. It's I'll say it because it's lumdish, but it's really, I'm going out of sync, so I'll get to it. Believe that because I don't want to go out of sync. But there's a beautiful shtickle Torah that you could say it's a lumdish shtickle Torah, Reb Nachman shtickle lumdish.
Question.
Go ahead.
How do you mentioned that having Rachmanis leads to the person that has Rachmanis getting das?
No.
Okay.
Das is no. You need das to have Rachmanis. Why? So let's go back to this. I'm sorry. So let's go back. You need das to have Rachmanis. So let's go back to that understanding, because the Rebbe is telling you what is Rachmanis. Rachmanis is never what I see on the surface. Rachmanis is never what I see on the surface. No matter what I'm seeing, a guy is handicapped and he can't walk. The Rachmanis on him, his pain is not what you're seeing. His pain is deeper than what you're seeing. So das is always the ability to see beyond the surface. Das means, what am I asking for? First of all, what is das? The chibur, right? Yoda, I forgot the puzzle. Adam is chava ishtoi. So it's intimacy. What is the intimacy with? The intimacy with the godliness that there is behind the screen of physicality. And there's no end to it. There's no end to that godliness in each thing. So really, according to the Torah, the Rebbe tells us that das is one thing. It's always the same thing. Ata hareisa das ki Hashem hu elikim. It's always the same thing. What is das? Havaya hu elikim. What does it mean, Havaya hu elikim? Elikim is Teva. Elikim is Teva. The screen of the world was created by God, but it was created as a world that runs within a system, that there's mazalas and karchavim that run the world. However, we know that the Rebbeinu Shalom is micromanaging the world, and that there is absolutely nothing that is Teva. Everything that is Teva is Be'etzem Elikus. None of us, we see the screen of Elikim. But what happened by Mount Torah when we got the Torah? Klal Yisrael was given the ability to get the binoculars, to get the glasses and the vision to be able to see that even what's Elikim is Avaya. that Hashem is present. It's not that He created a system and the world works on a system. And yeah, of course, Rabban Shem created the world. But that every single thing and every conversation that we have and everything is Havaya. And that has endless. That means, so Das is always the same. We all think Das is depending on the situation. When I'm in the Beis Medrash, it's this Das. And when I'm outside the Beis Medrash, it's this Das. No, it's the same Das. Das is always the ability to see Havaya in Elikim. So there's endless, because the Eibush is Ein Sof, because Havaya is Ein Sof. So there's endless. So even when I'm in the Beis Medrash and I think I saw Havaya Elikim, I really didn't really see, because there's so now the Rebbe, so Baruch Hashem, the words are coming out, the download is coming, Guvaldi. So now the Rebbe tells us, first you have to understand so if Das is the ability to see beyond, right, it's beyond the surface, so Rachmanis that needs Das is also the ability to see beyond the surface. And what is the biggest Rachmanis? If we see a person that's challenged physically or mentally or financially or emotionally or whatever it is, what is it what's beyond that surface? Says the Rebbe, the Averis. It's always the Averis. Always. Always. Ki ein Yisurim B'loi Avon. So it's always the Averis. That means the Rachmanis Be'etzem and the Tzaddik that has the ability to see. So, by the way, it doesn't always mean that it's your Averis. It could be Klal Yisrael. We are units. Many people are suffering for others, for Klal Yisrael B'chlal, for the Shechina B'Galusa. We don't, but the Tzaddik, he has the ability to know. And that's what the Rebbe tells us. This Das of being able to see this Rachmanis that needs Das, this Tzaddik that's called the Rachman, Moshe Rabbeinu, which is Mashahaya Hu Shiyeh. Moshe is the Oish, is Mashahaya Hu Shiyeh. It's in Pasuk and Kehelis.
That's why it's Sardiros, because even though it was other people's Avonos, it was a Masa Kaveh for the Rachman Amiti.
Yes. Yes, very good, very good, very good, very good. Absolutely, yes, that's exactly it. Very good, very good.
Birthday gift.
So yeah, his birthday. You say Gavaldi. So the word is that the tzaddik, Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rebbe says, he was this Rahman Kazeh. By the way, I just want to tell Shmuel, you'll enjoy this. Katan Kazeh and Rahman Kazeh fits with Dorimala and Dorimata. Why does the Rebbe say Kazeh on these two things? Well, why is it a tinnik? Why is it a katan than tinnik? On Sif Aleph and Sif Beis, I think we made a questionnaire of about over 100 questions. Okay, and we're going to chazer. But let's get the map here. So now the Rebbe tells us, so the biggest Rachmanis is the Averis. And the tzaddik, he sees these Averis, and all he's busy with is he's being Ma'aseh Nefesh. The Rebbe says 3 Lashonos, which is unbelievable. He says, U'masa nafshoy, v'hishlich nafshoy mineged, v'lo yehoya choyshesh al atzmai klal. So I was, my own, again, this is my disclaimer, Stacey, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I said perhaps the Rebbe is trying to tell us that what made Moshe Rabbeinu so unique in his Rachmanis and his Anhaga was that he didn't just give up his emotions for another Yid or for Klal Yisrael. He didn't just give up physically and say, kill me, I don't care. He gave himself up spiritually. Because he said, V'im tisoch hatosam, if Rabban Shalom, you're going to carry the chet, great. And if Ma'ayin, Mechenin HaMesivrecha. So Ma'ayin, Mechenin HaMesivrecha was saying that erase me spiritually. Because my whole tachlis here, I said this, I think last time was the Chavetz Chaim says, the biggest madrega of chesed is when a person gives up his ruchnius for Yenes Gashmi. For Yenes Gashmi. Right?
Nish says that Vaftel Recha Kamoichi puts it into that mitzvah is in ruchnius.
In ruchnius.
Previous Avos Reim is to give up your ruchnius.
Your ruchnius for Yenes Gashmi. It's not for Yenes ruchnius, it's for Yenes Gashmi. That's the tzaddik. What?
That's the Nasan Libo. Nasan Libo also is one of the. He's not just Moshe Nefesh. He's Nasan Libo.
Nasan Libo. He gives everything. He gives it over. That was Moshe Rabbeinu. And that's why Moshe, what?
Quick question on the idea that you're saying before that all of the Rebbe says that all of the stars that we're talking about are coming because of the virus. Can that be just an aspect of lack of doctoring a certain inyan, like a trauma, let's say?
It's a lack of doctoring.
Meaning, do we have to say Avera is dafka sin, or what? I've been.
Avera, by the way, there's all levels. Sin is the lowest level of Avera. Avera means hesach hadas. Ein adam chayta elim kein nichnas rosh. So we're going to talk about that right now. I'm going into this. The Rebbe then divides das one second, but there's two very important components that we need to know.
It doesn't say that Averis necessarily cause the suffering.
Right. I said, but the Avera ain't Yisur b'lei oven.
He says the biggest rahmanas that you have to have
on the Averas, because the Averas, it doesn't even compare to the heavy load. That means, by the way, I said like this, if you want to go into imagination, imagine, I mean, everybody watch cartoons in their lives, right? So I forgot which cartoon it was, but where he's carrying a load and he falls down to the ground, and then he gets smothered into the ground. If we would have a visual of what it looks like of an Avera and a Yid, according to the Rebbe, a Yid doesn't have the ability, because we come from such a delicate spiritual place, and Avera is such a Gashmi is the Gezach, it's not Shaykh. It's impossible for us to carry. So in my head, I always visualize that cartoon where the guy's collapsing down the thing. If we would only see ourselves that way, first of all, we would have more rachmanas on ourselves. Come on, we're the problem is we get away with it. You know? I don't mean chashomen, but we you do the avera, and then you deny, put it on the rug, and you go back to this marriage, and you make believe. I'm talking about myself here. I'm not talking about anybody else. But you come back. That's how we go through, but the Rebbe wakes us up.
Or the reverse is that you beat yourself up, and that's the massacre.
Yeah, that's also, either way it's a massacre. Okay, so Kumta is like this. The Rebbe says like this. Two more components. So what is this tzaddik doing? He's Isaac b'Yeshua Shalom. He's civilizing the world. What does it mean to civilize the world? Civilizing the world means to bring das into the world, because without das, you're a chaya b'dmus adam, you're an animal, you're not a thing, and he brings in das into the world. And this das that he brings into the world is Ashrei Maskil Dol, is coming from the Rachmanus, that he's trying to instill das into us because he sees the heaviness of our Averas, and he's giving us this das. Now the Rebbe tells us that this Avodah that Moshe Rabbeinu was doing wasn't just while he was alive, because there's no tachlis for the neshama, to even the tzaddik neshama, to come into this world, leave this world, and never have shaykhs to this world again. The ikr tachlis is that it goes up, and there's a part of it that stays down. What's the part that stays down? His das. How does his das stay down? The Rebbe teaches us that it comes through. The Gemara tells us, Asher ein chalifas lamay. It comes. There's a machlokes. What is the substitution? He was saying, Asher ein chalifas lamay. What is the substitution? Chalifas is substitution. Chalipin, chalifas. Chalifas is either a ben or a talmud, either a son or a talmud. The Rebbe explains, a son. We're talking about a son who's a talmud. Because if he's not a Talmud, there's no mile of having a son Rasha. So it has to be a son that's being makabel the das of his father, or a student that's being makabel the das of his father. If a person leaves over a son or a student that is makabel his das, then the Rebbe says these murdiger words, guys, you got it, and take it in, that nechshav ki'ilu hu mamish nisha ba'olam. It's as if he is mine. He says it twice. It's as if the person, that means, guys, secret, that we never die. You understand? If we are Isaac b'Yeshua Shalaylam, which soon we'll see that we're all being Isaac b'Yeshua Shalaylam, then our das gives over. We're talking to the Rebbe says, two people who are talking b'Yerushalayim and in Torah, like we're doing right now, and each one is being you're makabel from me, and I'm being makabel from you, and we're getting each other's das. It's nechshav. The Rebbe says that we go into the dibur of our das, and we stay it's nechshav that we're still existing in the world because the tachlis is das. Everything that I saw today, you're not going to let me take my phone, but someone sent me, Moharan and David sent me a thing this morning from the Sfas Emes. I'll try to remember it without saying it. I wish I could read it to you. But Sfas Emes says, very similar to this concept, that the more, but he says it dropped different. The more we remember Olam Haba in Olam Hazeh, then that's the Olam Haba that we'll be Zoicha to. And the more you remember Olam Hazeh in Olam Haba, it will block you from being able to live in Olam Haba when you get to Olam Haba. Which, if you take that was a verse, and he says Shabbos is Me'in Olam Haba. So the more you remember Shabbos, B'Sheish Yemei HaMaisa, the more you are remembering Olam Haba in Olam Hazeh. That Mi'etz Hashem, when we all come to our place, we'll come to the place of Olam Haba because what we have is this das. The Rebbe brings in a different Torah.
The Rebbe says, "V'yishiv das with his brothers."
With his brothers, yes. The Rebbe brings in a different Torah that Ika Kiyum Shalom La'achar Ma'isai. You remember that? Torah Chafei. That the main existence that a person has, La'achar Moiser, is the Seichel HaNikra, which is, again, all we're saying the same thing. Who are we for real? What is the das of us? What is the hidden behind the surface of us? Who are we for real? We are the das. And each person's das is through his life experiences and how much he saw Hashem, Havaya Hu Elikim. Now, how does one go to see Havaya Hu Elikim? Says the Rebbe that first thing is you need to have Yerushalayim. The Rebbe says you need a platform of Yerushalayim. That means you have to be, not that because I got stimulated by intellect, which is also good because there's Dvarim Nishmaim, but you told me a nice shtickle Torah. It inspired me, and now I started having a little bit more Yerushalayim. But the Rebbe says, no, that I wake up in the morning before I even know anything. I'm going into the place. There's a diuk, by the way. It's a very big diuk, yes, because otherwise there's no das. The whole verse is that I'm building to that place, exactly. So you need Yerusay Kedemes L'Chochmah. You need a platform of Yerushalayim in order to get that when I get the Chachma, which we're going to talk about, what is this Chachma? This Chachma that I'm getting, which we said Das is the balance of Chachma and Bina. This Chachma gets separated into two components. Something called a Seichel Hamakif. By the way, if anybody's lost, please stop me. I repeat anything. Everybody with me? You with me? Yeah? Okay. So the Rebbe says that there is two components to this das. There is something called a seichel hamakif, which means something that I didn't, we have this, we can all understand this in Dvarim Gashmim, right? In mathematics. You understood, or anything. You understand something, but in business, you have a lot. But there's always something, you still didn't get it. You understand, you see the deal, but there's a part that you didn't get. And then all of a sudden you get an aha moment, and it sinks in, I got it. Similarly, we have in Hasagas Alikus. The Rebbe brings it, you have that in Gemara, the Rebbe brings later on, you have it when a person is learning many, many times. While you're learning, you say a kasha, you're saying over a kasha, happens to me all the time, especially in Likutei Moharan. You say the kasha, as you're saying the question, all of a sudden, it was something that's been bothering you for the longest time, you could not, and all of a sudden, as you're saying it, boom, you get it. What's happening here? So the Rebbe is explaining there's a spiritual thing that's happening over here. What's happening is there's something called a seichel hamakif, which means it surrounds me. It's outside me. It's not internalized. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's something that I was not able to. The Rebbe says two lashons. Lehaven v'leida. Lehaven v'leida means it's to know it and to internalize it. Many times you have where you're touching it. I'm sure you can identify, right? There's something that you're getting it. It's like remember the screens that used to become blurry, and then all of a sudden you see the picture, blur. There's many times where there are things that you're thinking about where you start getting it, but it's blurry. And all of a sudden you're getting it, but it's like you're touching it. That's still a makif. That is not a pnim. And then there's a seichel pnim. What is a pnim? A pnim when it becomes part of me. What means it becomes part of me? Great question. So some say, we had a debate on it. Some say Nachman b'chinas pnim is that it's not even a pnim anymore because it's mamish me. It's mamish. It's not a seichel anymore. It became habitual. It became instinctive. It becomes mamish me. But the others said that it doesn't work because I forgot what I have to remember. This is going back months already. I'll try to. You'll remind me. I'll try to remember. So the Rebbe is telling us this pnim. So every time we go through an experience and we find Hashem and we're going through the screen of Elikim, of physicality, and we find Hashem, we've connected that, and we say, oh wow, that was Hashem, whether it happens in finances all the time, right? All of a sudden money comes from nowhere, or the bracha comes from, it's not understandable, it's not even money, but something, you see it a lot in parnasa, in financial, or with raising children, or relationships. In all relationships, you can see where things that have happened, it was mamish min hashemayim that it had to happen this way, and all of a sudden you're able to connect some of the dots, which means you are now taking a makif and making it into a pnim. And every time you make a makif into a pnim, there's a new makif. Because, like we said, the das of godliness, the spirituality, is ein soif. And the dots that we connect are only limited dots in comparison to what's really going on here. If we were able to get the visual of what's really going on into one minute minute of our lives, I mean, think about what the oxygen that has to be pumping, the circulation that has to go through my body for me to take one breath. I don't think a scientist can tell you every single dot of what's going on just for one breath. I'm breathing and I'm doing. It's endless. It's not shaykh. Narvas. The Rebbe tells us, so long as you're constantly connecting, and here, guys, this is mamish, this is the key. So long as you're connecting the makif to the pnim, and you're not parking in the pnim or the makif, which we're going to talk about in a second, and you're always connecting to the next makif, even though you don't know, but you know that you don't know, which that's the part, that's the biggest nakuda over here, then you are in the loop of Ata Reisel Adas Ki Hashem Hu Elikim. And if you're in the loop of Ata Reisel Adas Ki Hashem Elikim, you have the proper Rachman Das. Memela, you can have Rachmanis on yourself and on others because you want to give over your Das. And if you have Rachmanis, then you have Anhaga. And you're able to lead because you're a Rachman. And once you're able to lead, you're in that loop. And that is the game over. You understand? That's when game over. So the Rebbe is giving us here an antidote of understanding that if you go into this place of Das and you understand now, how do I connect? How do I always stay connected to my makif? How is it possible? I'm always going to be challenged with what? With something, another type of makif. Shmuel, you're going to kill me on this, I'm sure, but I'm going to go with it anyway. There's another type of makif called a ruach shtus. A ruach.
You've been talking about that a lot.
Oh yeah? You're with me? Because I got a lot of heat on this. I got a lot of heat on this.
When you're speaking with someone not your Shemaim, so you're emptying out your Pnimi and you allow for Rosh.
Ruach shtus is coming, so it's the exact same thing that's happening here. So the ruach shtus is the interference, that's the interference between the me and my makif. That ruach shtus is what interferes and either makes me park in pnim or a makif wherever I am, which we'll get to in a second. Says the Rebbe, so how do I keep evolving? How do I keep growing? Shalom Aleichem. How do I keep growing in my das and living Havaya Hu Elikim? The way I'm able to do that is by giving over my das to a Talmud. Who's my Talmudim? Either I have a ben or a Talmud, or my friends. So I'm sorry, that was that birthday boy. That's from a Rizcha Deraisa. Okay, so how am I giving over this das? I'm giving over this das to my friends when we're talking. And what happens when I give over this das, says the Rebbe, then Nesroikin Moicha, which needs a beer, which we're not going into right now, my moyach gets emptied, and it has now the ability to get new das, and I get a new makif. And then I give over the das again, and I get a new makif. So kumta is like this, that the Rebbe is teaching us two things, two very valuable points here. I don't know if I should say it yet, or should go into Aye first. I'll say it. So because you have to see the motion. There's two motions in the Torah here. And I'm trying to bring you into this. It's so fascinating. It's beyond. The motion is that, number one, the Rebbe teaches us that the das of the tzaddik goes down through a ben Talmud, and nechshav ki'ilu hu mamash nisha ba'olam. So that means, if I'm aligned with the das of the tzaddik, so when I'm giving you das, who's alive here? Whose das are you getting? Who's the tzaddik? Moshe Rabbeinu. That means Moshe Rabbeinu's das went down to Yeshua, to this Canaan, until Nachman Fried. And now we're talking over here, and Moshe Mashahoya, who sheyiyah. Moshe Rabbeinu, who started out to raise the das, who sheyiyah, he is right now giving over the das. So that means the das goes from the top down. Now the Rebbe says another motion, that when I give over the das to you, I get a new makif. And when I get a new makif, that means the person who gave me the das also gets a new makif. And the person who gave him the das also gets a new makif until... And what does Moshe Rabbeinu get? He also gets a new makif. So the motion now goes in two directions.
What's in the market? I'm not following that.
Okay, we explain. There are two seichels. Sorry, I'm getting hot. There are two. No. You're not upsetting me. I'm just faked. You're feeding me. You're not upsetting me. I just want to bring you into this delightful place. You're going to change if you start walking, we spoke about the cat. Who was here last time?
It's delightful because there's no masa kavod. Delightful.
Light. Very good. Play on words. I like it. My son-in-law. By the way, my son-in-law comes around here. Yeah. I told him to come here. He's very like that. He loves that guy.
We butt heads.
Yeah.
He thinks he's better at me at it than I am.
Yeah, okay. He is very good. He's good.
He's good. He's not great.
So again, the Seichel HaMakif, Dave. The Seichel HaMakif is the intellect that I don't get. That means whatever I internalize in my intellect, especially in my hasagas halikus, in my godliness, in the ability to see God beyond the screen of physicality that we're saying, to connect the dots, however you want to call it, that there is always going to be a part that I get, and at the same moment that I get something, I'm aware that there's so much more that I don't understand. Because what I see is only a trailer or I don't know what else to say, how else to say. I only see a dot of what's really happening. And I say, wow! Because what I'm really seeing is how much I don't see. Which is right, but I'm seeing more than I saw before. And so, and every time that I evolve with this, I'm always seeing another piece of how much more I don't see. That's called makif and pnim. So the Rebbe is saying, how do I get to see more? Don't you want to see more? How do you get, every one of us get it. But don't you want to constantly be able to see more and live a life of das, live a life of Havayu Elikim? So Rebbe says, you know how you do it? If you have your Shemai, and we talk with each other like we're doing right now, and we're giving it over to each other, then you're going to get automatically those lenses to be able to see another dot and another bit of, as so long as you're always connected to understanding that as much as I got to understand, there's so much more that I don't understand. The second you think you got it,
You lost it.
you're done. That's the Vartir. The second, and that's what the Yetzirah does.
It's only a little.
That's the Ruach Shtus. The Ruach Shtus is I got it. The Ruach Shtus is that I got it. Because I say no. I don't have to, I listen to the tzaddik. Up to here, it worked. Because I'm Jewish. Remember, we had this in Torah Samachal. We had this in Amunas Chacham where we spoke about that is Amunah. Amunah is not me trying to fit trying to fit the belief into my brain. It's trying to surrender my brain to belief. It's the same idea here. In other words, what happens is what traps us. Where does the Yetzirah get us? He gets us because we're always trying to, every time we get it, we think we got it. We think we got it. Right. And even if we know we didn't, we're content. Even if I'm content, I have to say I want. I can't stop. If I stop, that means I parked. And if I parked, then I took the das for myself. I used ruchnius, but all I did is build more ego, and it goes, and the reverse happens.
That's why the whole issue is dari mala and dari mata. But the fact that it doesn't matter mala or mata. The issue is dari. You're stagnant. You're dari mala.
Beautiful. Wow. Shkoyach. Shkoyach. Beautiful. Thank you. Wow. Beautiful. To your birthday. I think there's some. You'll get the makifim are flying today.
What's going on here?
The makifim are flying.
Come to the chazur every day.
Now you stopped.
Okay. So let's. I want to bring you into. I want to take you onto a crazy place. How much time do I have? I have to take you into what? So this is because this is not normal. I'm telling you, it's not normal. I'm telling you, you're going to dance. You're going to dance. Shmuel, you're going to dance. You're going to dance. Dance on the. Okay. Says the Rebbe. So now, Dave, we got this.
Yes.
Okay. So we're in this loop.
No, don't.
Almost that was the right thing.
Gewaltig. Beautiful. Ashreinu. Thank you, Chevra. You see, this is going back. You're giving me das. You're giving me shkoyach. Thank you. Okay. So now the Rebbe says he labels this makif and this panim. The first label is the makif is called. One second. We have to start. I forgot what comes first. Yes. See, let's just make sure I'm going in the right sequence. Sorry. The Rebbe first talks about the makif, and then he talks about the tzaddik. So where does the tzaddik? So we said that the makif, you give over the makif, you give over your makif to your chaver, and then you get a new makif. Okay. Now what does the tzaddik? On the chacham, the Rebbe says the chacham ador, he gets a makif from a place from Olam Haba, which is Yom Shekulei Aruch, which is beyond L'mayla min Azman, and he brings it in to his Talmidim. And he's bringing in hasagas of Olam Haba. That's L'mayla min Azman. That means his makif. That means our makifim that we are getting are already in the world. The das that's in the world. How are they in the world? The Rebbe doesn't say it, but this is my pirish. How are these makif in the world? Because Moshe Rabbeinu already gave it over through Ben Talmud. It went from the top down. This is the das that came into the world, and we just did because we're so distant from Das. So as we start working in Das, we're getting the makifim that already existed from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, from the time of Mount Torah, until today. But what happens when we give over Das? So we're pushing up the makifim so that the tzaddik gets a makif from a higher place that brings in a new hasaga that was not yet given into the world, and he brings this makif into the world. And then the Rebbe says, this tzaddik, he has the bechina of koil. The Indian of koil is ki choil b'shamayim v'aretz, the ochid shamayim v'aretz, that he unifies shamayim v'aretz. What does it mean he unifies shamayim v'aretz? He's able to take hasagas from olam haba, which are l'maylam and azman, and to bring them into zman, and to give it to us. When the tzaddik is able to do that, what happens every time he brings a higher asaga from Olam Haba? It's able to go down to a lower place. Because just like there's Olam Haba, Olam Elyonim, and Olam Tachtonim, there is Darei Mala and Darei Mata. And we're going to touch Darei Mala and Darei Mata as the people, as two different types of people. A person who's more connected to Hashem, or a person who's less connected to Hashem, as a Darei Mata, or it's the same person. It could also be that the Darei Mala and the Darei Mata is each one of us have inside us a place that is Darei Mala, where we are connected to Hashem, whether it's in the Beis Medrash, the Kaisel, the Rebbe Siyun, the Rebbe Shemai Yochai, or wherever you go, whatever it is, your Kumzitz, or whatever it is that you feel you're in Darei Mala, or in the places of Darei Mata, and that doesn't have to be specified because we all know our places of Darei Mata. So the Rebbe is telling us that the tzaddik, when he's doing the global action over here of bringing a makif from Darei Mala, from Olam Elyonim into Olam Tachtonim, which is giving the ability of all of us and the tzaddik to also bring in we all have koil. We all have tzaddik in us. We all have this bechina of being able to talk to the voice that talks to our place of Darei Mala, that tells us you didn't get it. Because who are you? You didn't even scratch the surface. You did one good day, but Hashem, not even a full day. And you're all, I got it, you got it. You know that voice? Listen to that voice. That's the tzaddik's voice. By the way, the tzaddik, it's the same message. It's not two different messages. The same message talks to the Darei Mala and says, where is Hashem? I don't know where I am. I don't even know but where is Hashem? And the same voice, the tzaddik, this heilige tzaddik, that talks to us, to the Darei Mata, and tells us that Eibush is with you. He's next to you. No matter where you are, no matter how much you fall, no matter what you do, He's with you. So really, it's the voice, that's the voice in us. The voice in us that we have to remember this message. The message of Aye, the message of Malay, to understand that every time we get that feeling of connection, remember, you didn't get it. You're nowhere, you didn't even scratch the surface, you have so much more, but at the same moment, to understand that God is with me, God is next to me, God is holding me, I am one chelik elikaya, no matter where I am, He's there in the lowest place with me. That from a chizik place and from a shiur's place and from a perception, if we could live in that place, if we live in this moment, if you can live that moment, that's Ata Reis Oladaski Hashem Elokim, no matter where you are. That's what the Rebbe is giving us. That's the tool that he's giving us over here. So now, the Rebbe is telling us, it's hard to do, but because there's so much more. But when you start getting this and you start internalizing it, and we forget. I forget. Let me tell you, I've been learning this a few months. I just got it now in a different way than I got it before. You understand? In a way, it just hit me. Makiv just hit me. But on how to live with this different. I told you guys about the ketchup. I said the ketchup. But whatever. I had a guy who in one of the kolim.
Bought two the previous week. And the next
What? Yeah. Shirma said whatever. He brought Aye and Malay into his grocery shopping. He had a great day. He was a great short. He was having a great day in Avodas Hashem. He got up early, went to the mikvah. He had his this. He learned. He did all the things. He comes home until Thursday afternoon to go buy his wife the groceries. Comes back, and 5 minutes later, his wife tells him, "Every week, David. Every week you forget. You always forget the most important thing on the thing. What did he forget? Forgot. So he goes. Oh my gosh." Hashem is showing me, you think you had the greatest day, the first thing you did for your wife, boom, she knocks you. He goes, what did you forget? She goes, I forgot, you forgot the ketchup. He says, the ketchup? He goes to the pantry, under the boxes, he pulls out a ketchup, he brings out the ketchup, and he says, now you see, look, Hashem, it was Malay. What you thought I forgot, I didn't forget because Malay. What happened? The last time I went to the grocery store, he bought two. And she didn't want him to get upset about the second ketchup. So he hid the second ketchup, and now he reminded him to get ketchup. Whatever. The point is, you can really, really see this in your life, especially in your relationships. Especially in your relationship. There's every relationship, whether you're married or you're dating or you have children or you have friends or whatever relationship you're having. The place of Aye will always come up. The place of, you're trying so hard, especially, I'm married for 37 years almost, and it's still, when my wife gets upset, it's as if I did the worst thing in the world, even though I've been working so hard, and the reaction is the same reaction. And the feeling is, mecha misa mapish pashto. You know that feeling? What do you mean? I tried so hard. I've been working so hard. I've really been good. I've been there. And so what do you got to do? You got to scream. Where are you? I know you're here. But where are you? And then you're going to find the answer. The question and the answer here. There's so much to say here. The question and the answer is always Aye Emeloi. That's the question and answer. The Rebbe talks about questions and answers. So now let me bring you in. The Rebbe brings, and this will conclude with this. We didn't even get to seafood. But Mi'ez Hashem, I hope to be here. It may change, but if I'm here, we'll come back. Mi'ez Hashem. So the Rebbe brings like this, that the tzaddik has to be careful that when he brings these makifim, if he's megala, if he reveals everything, then he's going to get a makif that's going to be much higher than he won't be able to bring it into Zman. He won't be able to bring it into the world, which means, Rav Nosson says, it'll bring to heresy, it'll bring to kfira, it will bring the opposite of das. Because he's bringing makifim from a very, very high place. So he has to be careful not to say certain things, not to reveal them, because by revealing, since the whole trick of getting das and getting a makif is by revealing. So if the tzaddik prevents himself, and the Rebbe brings a raya from a Gemara in Menachos, which we're learning now in the Daf Yomi, whoever's learning, Daf Chav Tes Amud Beis. The Gemara says like this. The Rebbe brings the Gemara very differently than the Gemara. But and this is the part I wanted to share this chiddush with you, and we'll conclude with this Be'ez Hashem. The Gemara says like this. Allah Moshe Lamar. Let's read it from inside. Sif Ches, right? First Sif Ches. There's two. Yeah. By the way, because that's how it was. I asked Mati. He said it was in the original. So he says, Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to heaven. It's on page Lamed Dalet, whoever has the pamphlet, and if not, it's Siv Ches in Likutei Moharan. says the Rebbe like this. Allah Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to get the Torah. He finds the Rebbeinu. He's tying knots. He's tying crowns, which are the tagim on the oasis. So the Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Rebbeinu Shalom, Master of the universe, what are you doing? Rashi says, no human being is going to understand what you're doing, so why are you doing this? Amalai, there's going to be someone who's going to get up. There's going to be someone by the name of Akiva ben Yosef is going to get up, and he's going to be Dorish mountains of halachas. Not only is he going to be Dorish, the pneumius of the Torah, he's going to make it into halachas, into a way of life. Then give the Torah through him. Why are you giving the Torah through me? So he says to him, be quiet. The Rebbe says, be quiet. It's not how the Gemara goes. The Gemara goes a little bit differently. If you have a Gemara Menachos, I would read it for you from the Gemara Menachos. Yes, because it's Kedai. Because there's a Marsha here, by the way. The Marsha on this Gemara fits so into the Torah, it's not known. So the Gemara says a little very differently than what the Rebbe says here. Gemara. What? And the kish. Oh, the hat. I didn't even look. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so you. I wonder if he's bringing. So you'll follow. You can look in the back here. Zog the Gemara. Same thing like the Rebbe. Same thing like the Rebbe. Here's where it starts to change. Adam echad yesh she'asid liyos b'soiv kamadoros Akiva ben Yosef Shmoi she'asid lidrosh al kol koitz v'koitz tilei tilan shalachas, that he's going to be dorish tilan amal lefanu Rebbeinu Shalom. So he says to Rebbeinu Shalom, Heroli, show me this person. Rebbe doesn't bring this. Amalai, so Rebbeinu Shalom says, okay, I'll show it to you. Chazor lacharecha, go back. Halach v'yoshav b'soiv shmoi neshuris. So he gets beamed. You remember Beamy and Scotty? Anybody remember Star Trek? Beamy and Scotty. He gets beamed in to Rabbi Akiva's shiur, into the back, into the eighth row of his shiur. And what does he see? And Rabbi Akiva and his Talmidim are talking, and Moshe Rabbeinu does not know what they're saying. Amrullah Talmidov. So his Talmidim say to him, Rebbe, menayin lecha. How do you know? Oh, I'm sorry. They came to Tosha's Koich. First of all, he gets weakened. His Koich, Tosha's Koich. They came to some Davar Echad. We'll soon see what the Davar Echad is. Amrullah Talmidov, Rebbe, menayin lecha. How do you know? Amalehem halacha leMoshe miSinai nesyashva daitoi. So he gets Yishuv Das. Remember the words Yishuv Das? Okay. Chaza ubal lefan v'nei Baruch. So now he comes back to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Beat me back. He goes, beat me. He comes back. Amar lefan Rebbeinu Shalom. Yesh lecha adam kazeh matanois in Torah al yadi. You have such a person like this, and you're giving the Torah through him. Amaloi shtoi kachola b'machshava lefanai. Very lefanai. Very, very different. There's many diyukim. I don't have the answers to all of them. I have a lot of questions here. But one second. So he says to Rebbeinu Shalom, Heresani Torah. You showed me his Torah. Herani Schara. Show me his Schar. Amaloi. Chazor lacharecha. Beam. Go back again. Chazor lacharecha beams back into real time of Rabbi Akiva. Rosh Hashanah b'Sor b'Makom. What does it mean, by the way? I think that they weighed his Rabbi Akiva's punishment was that they took they took off his skin and they weighed his skin, I think, to sell it. No, but I don't know. I don't know. Amal the fun of Rebbeinu Shalom zu Torah v'zu schara. Is this the Torah of the Amal Shtoi Kachol Machshav Lefanai? The Rebbe does not bring the Gemara the same way. So there's many questions why, and we could be medayik on everything, but I want to take you into a little space that. So the Marsha says over here, and if you want to look, we could do it. I read the Marsha, but it's going to take too long. I really want to get to the point. Mashal says that Moshe Rabbeinu came to Rabban Shem and said, no human being is ever going to be able to know this das. This is Pneumius, the sorrow. So Rabban Shem tells him, yes, there is. Akiva ben Yosef is going to go there. So he says, then I also want to know it. So Rabban Shem says, Chazor la'achurecha. You know the Aleph base from, this is Mashal. You know the Aleph base from Aleph to Tov. You have to go back from Tov. You have to understand that there's a limud of the Aleph base going backwards from Tov to Aleph. And so where did he go? How many nekudas are there? There are 8 different nekudas. So the Mashal says, Soif Shmeina Shurais. He had to go back to the last nekuda, to the last Tov, to start learning how to see Elikus from Tov to Aleph, from the last Nakuda all the way back to Aleph. And he says, when you get to that, then you'll be able to get to understand the Tim. According to the Rebbe, it's Moiradik. It's Noirabai. Where's the Lavdin over there? He left us. I wanted him there. It's Moiradik. Because the Rebbe is telling you that the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu's das was going down from the Mala Lamata Atareis Das Keshem Elikim. But the emes is that in order for Moshe Rabbeinu's das to reach Dorei Mata Mamish, he has to bring from a higher Dorei Mala. And the only way he can bring from a higher Dorei Mala is when we give over our das and we get a new makiv and we push up the one on top of us, which is from where? From Tov to Aleph. Moshe Rabbeinu understood that from Aleph to Tov we give das. But he didn't understand that das goes from Tov to Aleph. So that means Akiva ben Yoy, he needed real time to happen in order. That's why when he went there, he didn't understand. Because he didn't get the makif yet. The only way to get the makif was for Akiva ben Yosef to be Akiva ben Yosef. Akiva ben Yosef. So I said, so what was Tosha's koyach? So he lost his koyach. What do you mean Tosha's koyach? The koyach of his das. Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Oh, Rebbeinu, if I can't do this, I'm not going to bring the gula. There's no kimerachim minagim." He saw halacha leMoshe miSinai, that the halicha goes leMoshe. It's not that the halicha goes down. Halicha leMoshe miSinai. He needs to get a new makiv, and the only way for that to happen is through Akiva ben Yosef from Tov to Aleph. Meila Ashreinu shezachinu lezkarev l'Rabbeinu.
What's the last letter in the Torah?
Leinikol Yisrael Lamed.
What's the first letter?
Lev, yeah,
Back that way.
from the backwards. Yeah, the chiddush from the birthday boy. Another chiddush. The last letter of the Torah is Lamed. The first letter is based. We know Lev. Why doesn't it go the other way? Lamed further. It has to come. The whole chiddush here is that who's going to bring the geula? Us. The Dorei Mata, we, with our das, with our aye, with our malay, we are going to bring the geula.
Wow, fire.